Welcome to our journey into the heart of ancient mystery. Today, we're uncovering the lost magic of ancient Egypt, a civilization steeped in divine rituals, powerful symbols, and hidden knowledge. From the spells inscribed in tombs to the sacred rites performed in grand temples, Egyptian magic shaped everyday life and guided souls into the afterlife. But how much of this forgotten wisdom still lingers in our world today? Join us as we decode the secrets behind their mystical practices, uncover long-lost beliefs, and reveal how magic was woven into the very fabric of Egyptian life. Let's begin the exploration. Uncovering the lost magic of ancient Egypt. Ancient Egypt has long fascinated the world with its monumental architecture, mysterious hieroglyphs, and complex pantheon of gods. Yet beneath the visible grandeur of temples and pyramids lies a deeper, more mystical layer of Egyptian culture, magic. To the ancient Egyptians, magic wasn't fiction or fantasy. It was an essential force that governed life, death, and the universe itself. This article delves into the enigmatic realm of ancient Egyptian magic, uncovering its meaning, use, significance, and how modern scholars have begun to piece together the magical worldview of this ancient civilization. The nature of magic in ancient Egypt. In ancient Egypt, magic was known as Heka. Unlike today's associations with illusion or trickery, Heka was considered a legitimate and vital energy that existed alongside natural and divine forces. Egyptians believed that the gods used Heka to create the world, and humans were gifted with a portion of this power to maintain order and protect themselves against chaos. Heka wasn't merely religious or spiritual. It was practical, cosmic, and philosophical. It linked the divine and mortal realms, enabling priests, magicians, and even ordinary people to affect reality by invoking spiritual laws. In essence, Heka was the power that animated rituals, healed the sick, protected the dead, and ensured harmony in both life and the afterlife. Sources of ancient Egyptian magical knowledge. The rediscovery of ancient Egyptian magic has been largely dependent on archaeological evidence and ancient texts, many of which were lost or buried for thousands of years. The following are the primary sources scholars rely on to study Egyptian magic. 1. Papyri and scrolls. Magical texts were often written on papyrus. Some famous collections include the Egyptian Book of the Dead, a funerary text with spells to guide the deceased through the afterlife. The coffin texts, spells inscribed on coffins during the Middle Kingdom. The pyramid texts, the earliest known religious texts, found in the pyramids of Saqqara. The Demotic Magical Papyrus of London and Leiden, a later compilation of spells, curses, and rituals written in Demotic script. 2. Amulets and talismans. Amulets played a vital role in Egyptian magic. They were worn to protect against evil, promote health, or attract good fortune. Each amulet had a specific meaning, often connected to gods, animals, or sacred symbols like the Eye of Horus, the scarab, or the Ankh. 3. Ritual objects and statues. Magicians used a range of ritual tools, wands, statues, figurines, and offering bowls. These items acted as vessels or conduits for magical energy and were often buried with the dead or kept in temples. 4. Temples and tombs. Temples served as spiritual hubs where priests performed rituals for gods and pharaohs. Tombs contained intricate carvings and spells to protect the soul in the afterlife. Together, these structures provide immense insight into Egypt's magical practices. The practitioners of magic. 1. Priests and scribes. Many magical rituals were carried out by priests who were trained in sacred writing and rituals. As custodians of temples and libraries, they had exclusive access to esoteric knowledge. Scribes were also powerful figures. They could read and write hieroglyphs, the language of the gods, and were thus capable of recording and interpreting magical spells. 2. Healers and magicians. Some magicians specialized in healing, using Heka to cure ailments or exorcise evil spirits. They combined herbal medicine, incantations, and symbolic acts to restore balance to a person's body and soul. Others focused on protective or aggressive magic, using spells to ward off curses or inflict harm on enemies. 3. Ordinary people. Though magic was often the domain of the elite, common Egyptians also engaged in magical practices. Folk spells, charms, and household rituals were passed down orally, especially among women, who played key roles in fertility, childbirth, and domestic magic. Common types of magic in ancient Egypt. 1. Protective magic. Protection was a key concern in a world where danger could come from wild animals, disease, or malevolent spirits. Protective spells were often placed around homes, inscribed on amulets, or spoken over children and the sick. Gods like Bes and Tauret were commonly invoked for safeguarding families. 2. Healing magic. Healing was not just physical but also spiritual. Medical papyri like the Ebers Papyrus include spells and remedies for ailments ranging from snake bites to infertility. Healing rituals often invoke gods such as Isis, Heka, and Sekhmet. 3. Love and fertility magic. Magic was employed to attract lovers, encourage fertility, or ensure a successful pregnancy. Figurines and love spells were common tools, especially among women hoping to secure a partner or conceive a child. 4. Cursing and defensive magic. Not all magic was benevolent. Egyptians used curses to harm enemies, win disputes, or gain power. Cursed tablets and figurines were buried with inscriptions to call down misfortune. At the same time, defensive spells were used to counteract such malevolent intentions. 5. Funerary and afterlife magic. A major focus of Egyptian magic was the afterlife. Spells were designed to ensure a safe journey through the underworld, Duat, and to help the soul reach paradise, Field of Reeds. Spells protected the deceased from monsters, guided them past obstacles, and helped them pass the weighing of the heart ritual. The gods of magic. Egypt's vast pantheon included many deities associated with magic. Among the most significant were Heka, the god of magic itself. Often depicted as a moon carrying two serpents, Heka embodied the power that permeated all rituals and spells. Thoth, the god of wisdom, writing, and the moon. As a scribe of the gods, Thoth was believed to have invented hieroglyphs and magical language. Isis, a goddess renowned for her magical prowess, particularly in love and healing. Her spells could bring the dead to life and protect her followers. Sekhmet, a fierce lioness goddess associated with both plague and healing, depending on how she was appeased. Bes and Tauret, protective household deities who guarded mothers and children. The role of symbols in Egyptian magic. Symbolism was fundamental to Egyptian magical thinking. Every image, shape, and sound carried deeper meanings. The Ankh, symbol of life and immortality. The Eye of Horus, Wedjat, protection, restoration, and healing. Scarab beetle, rebirth and resurrection. The Jet pillar, stability and strength. These symbols appeared on jewelry, tomb walls, coffins, and papyri, reinforcing their magical potency through visual and spiritual resonance. Magic and the afterlife. The ancient Egyptians believed that life continued after death, but only if the correct rituals were followed. The Book of the Dead included spells to navigate the underworld, overcome trials, and achieve eternal life. Without these spells, the soul risked being devoured by Ammit, the demon who consumed the unworthy. Funeral rites involved opening the mouth of the deceased, enabling them to speak in the afterlife, and placing amulets and magical texts within the tomb to offer protection and guidance. Magic ensured that death was not an end but a transition. Rediscovery and modern interpretations. For centuries, the magic of ancient Egypt lay buried beneath sands and ruins. It wasn't until the deciphering of the Rosetta Stone in 1822 that scholars began to unlock the language of the ancients. Since then, archaeology and Egyptology have unveiled hundreds of texts, tools, and tombs that offer a window into Egypt's magical world. Today, Egyptian magic influences modern occultism, popular culture, and alternative spirituality. Neo-pagan traditions sometimes incorporate Egyptian deities and symbols into rituals. Fictional works, films, novels, and games regularly draw from the mystique of Egypt's magical legacy. Yet scholars approach the topic with care. Ancient Egyptian magic wasn't just superstition or folklore. It was a sophisticated system woven into religion, science, and society. Understanding it requires not just translation, but interpretation within its cultural and spiritual context. Challenges in understanding Egyptian magic. While we've made significant progress, several challenges remain. Incomplete records. Many magical texts are damaged or fragmented. Translation difficulties, hieroglyphs, and ritual language can have multiple meanings. Cultural gaps. Modern assumptions may distort ancient beliefs. Secret knowledge. Some magical knowledge may have been deliberately concealed or limited to elite practitioners. Despite these issues, continued research and interdisciplinary studies, from anthropology to comparative religion, are shedding new light on the nature of Egyptian magic. The magic of ancient Egypt was not a fringe practice, but a core aspect of its civilization. It shaped daily life, medicine, religion, and death rituals. Through Heka, Egyptians believed they could harness divine power to protect, heal, and transform. While much remains mysterious, modern scholarship continues to uncover the layers of meaning behind their spells, symbols, and sacred texts. As we reconstruct the magical worldview of ancient Egypt, we gain not only historical insight, but a deeper appreciation for the human quest to understand and shape the unseen forces of the universe. In rediscovering their lost magic, we touch upon a timeless legacy that still stirs imagination, mystery, and wonder. Protective magic in ancient Egypt. From towering pyramids to richly adorned tombs, the civilization of ancient Egypt has fascinated scholars and lay people alike for centuries. While much of the visible legacy focuses on architecture, kingship, and art, the spiritual backbone of Egyptian life was the pervasive and intricate practice of magic. Among the many branches of magic, protective magic, aimed at guarding people from harm in both the physical and spiritual worlds, was one of the most vital. To the ancient Egyptians, magic was not an abstract superstition or an art of deception. It was a real and powerful force woven into the fabric of the cosmos. Known as Heka, this magical energy was believed to be present in all things and accessible by both gods and mortals. Protective magic, therefore, was not just ritualistic. It was a fundamental means of survival against the many threats that humans believed lurked in their environment. Understanding protective magic. What is it? Protective magic in ancient Egypt involved invoking spiritual forces, sacred objects, symbols, and words to shield individuals, households, or entire communities from danger. These dangers could be physical threats, such as wild animals, illness, or accidents. Spiritual threats, such as malevolent spirits, demons, or curses. Cosmic threats, like chaos, Isfet, threatening divine order, Ma'at. In a society where religion and daily life were deeply intertwined, protective magic was omnipresent. From royal rituals to household customs, it played a critical role in maintaining harmony and warding off evil. Origins of protective magic. Protective magic in Egypt had divine origins. According to mythology, the universe was created through Heka, a divine force personified as a god named Heka. The gods themselves use this power to maintain balance and fight off chaos. For example, in the myth of Ra and Apep, the sun god Ra is attacked each night by the chaos serpent Apep during his journey through the underworld. To protect Ra, other gods, such as Set and Mehen, use protective spells and weapons. These celestial events symbolize the eternal struggle between order and chaos, reflected in human rituals aimed at mirroring divine protection on earth. Practitioners of protective magic. 1. Priests and temple magicians. High-ranking priests had exclusive access to temple rituals and magical texts. They performed state-sanctioned protective rites to guard the pharaoh, the nation, and temple precincts. 2. Healers and folk magicians. Local healers used protective magic in medicine, especially to treat illness believed to be caused by supernatural forces. They combined incantations with herbal remedies and protective amulets. 3. Mothers and midwives. Women were key practitioners of domestic magic, particularly in protecting children and ensuring safe childbirth. Amulets, chants, and household gods were employed regularly. Tools and objects of protective magic. Ancient Egyptians utilized a wide array of objects and devices to harness protective magic. Each carried symbolic weight and spiritual resonance. 1. Amulets. Perhaps the most ubiquitous form of protective magic, amulets were small charms made from stone, faience, metal, or bone. They were worn as jewelry or placed with the dead. Examples of protective amulets. Eye of Horus, Wedjat offered protection, health, and safety. Scarab represented rebirth and transformation, protecting in this world and the next. Ankh, symbol of life, invoked divine protection over one's life force. Djed pillar symbolized stability and endurance. Amulets were charged with power through rituals or inscriptions and often blessed by priests. 2. Wands and knives. Wands, usually made from hippopotamus ivory, were used in childbirth rituals and to ward off evil spirits. They were sometimes inscribed with protective figures like lions, sphinxes, or divine beings. Ceremonial magic knives served a similar purpose, cutting through spiritual threats. They often featured protective deities or fierce animals to symbolically cut away danger. 3. Statues and figurines. Protective deities were represented through small statues, often placed at household shrines or used during rituals. Bes, for example, was depicted in homes to guard against intruders, nightmares, and misfortune. 4. Spells and incantations. Protective spells were recited or written on papyrus, walls, coffins, or even everyday objects. These words, when spoken in the right tone and sequence, were believed to activate Heka and repel threats. The role of protective magic in daily life. 1. Childbirth and infancy. Childbirth was considered highly dangerous in ancient Egypt. Protective rituals and spells were essential to safeguard both the mother and child. Amulets shaped like lions, cats, and frogs were used during labor. Goddesses like Tauret, a protective mother hippopotamus goddess, and Bes were invoked to shield the newborn from illness and demons. 2. Homes and personal safety. People placed amulets or painted protective symbols around doorways and beds to guard against intruders and spiritual entities. Incantations were also spoken before sleep or journeys to ensure safety. Common protective gestures included drawing protective circles, burying amulets at thresholds, sprinkling water mixed with natron, a sacred salt, to purify spaces. 3. Health and medicine. Illness was often attributed to malevolent spirits or the evil eye. Protective magic was used alongside medical treatments. For instance, a spell might be recited over a herbal poultice to increase its efficacy. An example from the Ebers Papyrus, circa 1550 BCE, includes a spell for stomach aches. Come out, you who live in the belly of Name. You who cause pain and sickness, begone. By the power of Ra, you are destroyed. 4. Travel and warfare. Before setting out on journeys or entering battle, Egyptians would perform protective rites. The pharaoh himself wore special armor or amulets blessed by temple priests to ensure victory and survival. Protective magic in the afterlife. The need for protection didn't end with death. Egyptians believed the journey to the afterlife was fraught with perils. Magic ensured the deceased could safely pass into the next world. 1. The Book of the Dead. This funerary text included spells designed to protect the soul during its passage through the underworld. One such spell reads, "No crocodile shall seize me. No snake shall bite me. No demon shall harm me." 2. Shabtis and Guardians. Small funerary figurines called shabtis were placed in tombs to act as servants and protectors. They would come to life in the afterlife to assist the deceased in labor or in defending against spirits. 3. Funerary amulets and texts. Amulets were placed on the mummy or within the wrappings to protect specific parts of the body. The heart scarab protected the heart during the weighing of the heart judgment. Deities associated with protective magic. Protective magic in Egypt was deeply tied to its gods. Several deities were central figures in safeguarding individuals from spiritual and physical harm. 1. Heka, the embodiment of magic itself. Although not widely worshipped in temples, Heka was invoked in nearly every magical act. 1. Heka, the embodiment of magic itself. Although not widely worshipped in temples, Heka was invoked in nearly every magical act. 2. Isis, a powerful magician and protective mother figure. She used magic to resurrect Osiris and protect her son Horus, making her a central figure in protective spells. 3. Thoth, god of wisdom and language. He recorded magical texts and often assisted in protective rituals with knowledge of sacred words. 4. Bes, a dwarf-like god with leonine features. He was a fierce protector against evil spirits, especially during childbirth and sleep. 5. Tauret, a hippopotamus goddess who protected pregnant women and infants. She often appeared on household items and beds. Protective symbols and their uses. Symbols were not mere decorations, they carried real power. Protective symbols appeared on tomb walls, amulets, everyday pottery, and even clothing. Symbol meaning use. Eye of Horus health and protection amulets, walls, jewelry. Ankh life and vitality, funerary art, charms. Jed pillar stability tombs, architecture. Shun ring eternity and protection royal names, offerings. Scarab rebirth and shielding mummies, rings. The cosmic role of protective magic. Beyond individual protection, magic was also used to guard the cosmic order. The struggle between Ma'at, order, and Isfet, chaos, was eternal. Daily temple rituals aimed to reinforce Ma'at through incantations. Sacred festivals reenacted mythic battles between gods and chaos demons. Pharaohs, as divine rulers, performed protective rites for the entire land. Decline and legacy. With the decline of pharaonic Egypt and the rise of Greco-Roman rule, the traditional magical system began to fade. Yet protective magic persisted in various forms. Coptic Christianity retained some symbols and customs, e.g., the ankh became a Christian cross variant. Modern Egyptian folklore still includes protective practices like amulet wearing or reciting prayers to ward off the evil eye. Today's occult and New Age traditions often draw from Egyptian magical practices for inspiration. Protective magic in ancient Egypt was a rich and vital component of life, embedded in every sphere from birth to death and beyond. Rooted in myth, empowered by sacred words and symbols, and practiced by everyone from priests to mothers, it provided the assurance that human beings were not alone in their struggles against darkness and disorder. In modern times, as we continue to uncover and study the magical practices of the ancients, we not only gain historical understanding, but also glimpse a worldview where divine energy flows through every action, object, and intention. Protective magic, in this context, is not merely about fear. It is about hope, order, and the eternal desire to live safely under the watchful gaze of the divine. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the lost magic of ancient Egypt. We've only scratched the surface of a world filled with powerful rituals, sacred symbols, and timeless mysteries. If you enjoyed uncovering these ancient secrets, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Share your thoughts or questions in the comments. We'd love to hear what intrigued you most. Until next time, keep your curiosity alive and your mind open. The past still whispers if you know how to listen. See you in the next adventure.